All right, so what's up, guys? Welcome to the Dudecast. This is my third attempt at a podcast, so don't at me. You would be surprised how fucking hard it is to to do a coherent podcast like weekly. This shit's because you gotta be committed to that. Once you start it, you gotta be committed to that. And if there's one thing that I've learned when it comes to doing podcasts, uh, I have a commitment problem. I can't stay committed to a podcast. Um, I think the longest podcast I did that was easily the longest one by far was the ND podcast. And that went for like 17 parts, I think. I'm pretty sure. And then you had the Storytime podcast, which only lasted for about 4 episodes. And I decided, you know what? I want to do a podcast, but at the same time, it's like I want to switch it up a little bit. Storytime, not as many stories as I can tell. So I figured, you know what? Let's do a podcast where I just talk about literally everything, literally anything. And so I decided, you know what? Today's episode, for the the pilot episode of the Dudecast, is let's talk about Monday Night Raw, the supposed A show of WWE. Now, I will be completely honest. As of late, Raw has been really fucking good as of late, and this all started back when Paul Heyman took over, like last year, and yeah, like ever since Heyman took over. Yes, I know Heyman isn't in charge of Raw anymore. It's Bruce Pritchard. Um, but when Heyman was around, Raw suddenly shifted to like a really good show, and like it's crazy how like I find myself watching Raw these days and thinking to myself, wow, that was really good. Like, there's so much on Raw that's just really good. Like, first of all, let's talk about the champions on Raw, the title holders on Raw. So, you got Drew McIntyre as your WWE champion. You got Asuka as your Raw Women's champion. Uh, you got Apollo Crews as your United States champion, and you got the Street Profits as your Raw Tag Team champions. Now, that is a fantastic lineup for champions. It is. It's such a good lineup. It's a lot of good decisions. Like, you got Drew, who's the WWE champion. Yes, that is great. Everyone loves it when Drew's the champion. Everyone does. Because he deserves it. The motherfucker deserves it, alright? You got Asuka, who's the women's champion. She's doing phenomenal. She could be booked a little stronger, but you know what? She's a champion, and she's awesome. So, and then you got the Street Profits and Apollo Crews, which Apollo Crews surprises me the most, because you would think that Apollo would just be stuck in the mid card, not even fighting for a championship, but here he is. He shows up on Raw, and he's instantly getting pushed, and now he's the United States champion. So, I mean, it's pretty cool. You got the Street Profits, who are over here, and they are just full of charisma. And it's just like, all the champions on Raw are so fun and entertaining. And it's like, it makes for some good television. Um, I would have to say, oh God, if I had to choose like from best to worst, who the best champion is and who's the worst champion on Raw right now. Um, I'd say hands down, best champion on Raw, Drew McIntyre. Hands down. Um, the dude is just, he's gold. McIntyre is gold. Anything McIntyre touches is gold. The man knows how to look good, if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, he wears that title, and it looks like $1,000,000 on him, and he looks like $1,000,000 every single week. He comes out, he looks like a sharp dressed, handsome man, And just, fuck, man, I'm gushing over Drew McIntyre. I'm the straightest man you'll ever meet. But that man, Drew McIntyre, that is a handsome son of a bitch. I will tell you that. Now, so yeah, Drew, easily the best champion. He's on Raw every single week. He's always wrestling, and they book him really, really strong and as a dominant champion, so that's good. Now, as for the worst champion, I'm going to have to go Apollo Crews. Because here's the thing. Apollo Crews is a good champion. He is. He's a good champion and an excellent choice as a United States champion. But the thing is that he hasn't... Well, he's only defended it once. And... Like, I don't know. Like, I like his title reign. It's just... He doesn't really defend it as much as Drew does, you know? Then again, Drew doesn't really... doesn't. Yeah, he does. He's defended it every single pay-per-view. Ever since winning it. So yeah, that's for the champions. Now, like, for the actual show itself, the show itself, here's the difference between Raw and SmackDown, at least for me. Alright, so, you got Raw, which is cursed by the fact that it's 3 hours long. And then you got SmackDown, which is a perfect 2 hours long. Yeah, I find myself to be a little more, what is the word? Trying to think of the word. What is the word? I find it to be more intriguing, I guess. Like, I'm intrigued by Raw, I guess. Like, it's really, it's like, with Raw, I'm entertained and I'm also intrigued with everything that's going on, whereas SmackDown, I'm just entertained. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've missed an episode of SmackDown. I have gone back and watched those episodes that I miss, but every once in a while I'll find myself completely missing an episode of SmackDown. And, like, I never miss an episode of Raw. So it's like, in terms of, like, which show is my favorite, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, Raw is easily my favorite of the two. It's not a perfect show. It's definitely not a perfect show. Because, like I said, Raw is cursed by the fact that it's 3 hours long. And sometimes you don't really feel those 3 hours. Sometimes the show, when it's really, really good, you can't even feel those 3 hours. And even when it is good, sometimes you can feel those 3 hours. And yeah, it's a hit or miss. You either feel it or you don't feel it. And so, whereas with SmackDown feels like it flies by. And that's a good thing. But, like, what else makes Raw good that makes it my favorite out of the two? The storylines on Raw are pretty damn interesting. I think my favorite storyline right now on Raw is the whole everything around Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins at the moment. Because here's the thing, all right? Seth Rollins with this Monday Night Messiah character is fucking genius, and it's brilliant. So brilliant. Seth is so good. He's so fucking good as this character. And the fact that he has taken the time to really develop the character over the months that he's been that character since turning heel, is just like, I love Seth Rollins, okay? I really like Seth Rollins. He's, like, up there with my favorite wrestlers in the WWE. And throughout the time where the fans were starting to slowly turn on him, I was like, oh, man, that really sucks. That really does suck. But when he turned heel, I was like, ooh, interesting. Heel Seth. And then afterwards, it just went uphill from there. Would I say the Messiah is the best character Seth has ever had. Uh, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's the best character that he's had. Um, I still, to this day, I still think that the best character Seth has had by far, uh, hands down, it has to be the when he was fresh off of betraying the Shield and he was with the Authority, and he was this cowardly heel that had this like super fucking annoying laugh, and everyone hated him. That was, I think, to me, in my opinion, that was his best character by far. But the Monday Night Messiah is easily very, very close second. But this storyline between him and Ray is like, it's the best story on Raw. At least I think it is. And I have a buddy of mine who also thinks that as well. I'm not gonna list off his name, but we watch wrestling together, and he texts me sometimes, and he told me about how Rey Mysterio, his contract is up, but he was telling me, he's like, yeah, he's not gonna go anywhere. He's part of the best storyline on Raw right now, and he's right. He is right. The Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins storyline is pretty fucking good. Why it has Humberto Carrillo and Aleister Black, I mean, it's good. It's good for screen time for them, I guess. They're sort of benefiting from it, but at the same time, it's like they could be doing a lot more with Aleister. At least I think. Actually, a lot of people think that. Actually, they could be doing so much more with Aleister than this. And as for Humberto, I'll be honest. I want to care for Humberto. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. But I find it very hard to care about him. Maybe it's a lack of direction, character direction or something. I don't know. But I just find it very hard to care about Humberto, other than his natural born baby face, you know? Like, that's the only like character quality that he has, is that he just has a super nice looking face. That's about it. But yeah, the Ray and Seth storyline is really good. And then they also, what I've been noticing on Raw as of late is how they like have been intertwining storylines with each other. Like last week on Raw, Big Show, who has a storyline with Randy Orton, encountered Andrade and Angel Garza, who are in a storyline with they're in like a will they break up, will they not storyline, and they sort of cross the two paths together to like progress both stories, but mainly Angel Garza and Andrade's. And I thought that was really cool. I did. I thought that was really cool. How they sort of combined both storylines for a little bit. I thought that was really cool. You got Randy Orton on Raw. Randy Orton's doing some of the best work that I have seen him do in a long time. Like Randy Orton, like for the past couple of years, I feel like he's like ever since like 2017, he's just been like phoning it in. It feels like he's loyal as fuck to the company, but like he could give two shits about what he does in that ring. And then so with this whole storyline with Edge thing, it feels like he got a little bit of a kick in the ass, or so it feels like, because he brought back the punt. He is a natural born heel again. And like the lead up to WrestleMania with that match against Edge was fantastic. It was fantastic. I looked forward to their build like for every single week, and I still kind of do. Um, and it's a shame that Edge got hurt. It is such a shame that Edge got hurt because we could have seen the end of the trilogy, the obviously set up for a trilogy between these two, and it's like I feel sorry for Edge because he came back after a neck injury and then got injured again. Thankfully, it wasn't his neck this time, but still, it sucks that he got hurt again. Um, but yeah, like Randy Orton is amazing. Seth Rollins is amazing. Everything involving the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders was amazing. Also, Sarah Logan or Sarah Rowe or whatever, uh, is they her and I think it's which one of it is it? Which one of the Viking Raiders is it? It's the shorter one. It's Eric. Eric, yes, Eric. Eric and Sarah Logan are having a baby, and that's awesome. That's awesome. I saw the video of them finding out during my lunch break at work, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome." Yeah, yeah, that sucks that they got rid of Sarah Logan, but like, still though, that's awesome. But getting back to is Raw a perfect show? Is Raw a perfect show? Fuck no, no, it's not perfect. It's good. It is really good, but it ain't perfect. There are a lot of issues that I've noticed, and that's like for instance, the Raw Women's Division, which is completely stacked, by the way. You got women like Natalia, Asuka, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, Bianca Belair, Shayna Baszler, Nia Jax. I hesitate to call her a talent. Oh well, well, there's no going back on it now. Um, but yeah, like the Raw women's division is completely stacked, and they barely do anything with the women in the actual division. Like they do stuff with the Iconics, Ruby Riott. They did a lot of stuff with Ruby Riott last week, which I thought was really cool. Liv Morgan, I really like Liv Morgan a lot. Uh, she's kind of hot. She's kind of hot a little bit. But no, she's cool. Um, but like other women, like Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair, like where are they? Like they have like where's Bianca? Bianca showed up for like 2 weeks straight and then hasn't been seen since. And Shayna, I don't know what happened to Shayna. Shayna's missing. And this whole Corona thing doesn't help either. Like people are staying home, obviously. So maybe that's where they are. I don't know. I don't want to speculate on that any further. So, but yeah, like I've just noticed like a real lack in the women's division and like, um, yeah, like there's that's really one noticeable flaw that I've noticed. But even that isn't too terrible. I'm trying to think of something that's like really like not the best. The 24/7 championship stuff. I could take it or leave it. Really, I mean, it is what it is. It can be funny sometimes. It can be charming sometimes, and it can be fucking awful sometimes. Uh, but man, they love putting that title on R-Truth. That's for sure. Um, but yeah. Oh yeah, they pushed Nia Jax way too much. Way too much more than she deserves. That's for sure. Uh, After all the people that she's hurt, I don't think she deserves to get pushed. At least not for a while until she starts to improve. Um, yeah, like there's not a whole lot of negatives other than it does suffer. Raw does suffer from the fact that it is 3 hours, which can sometimes make the show a little boring. Sometimes it can make a drag. Um, but you know, I still watch it like religiously, right? Like I've been watching Raw religiously for like, well, WWE in general. Like I've watched WWE religiously for like 10 years now, and like so it's been quite a journey. And I'm still watching it now. And Raw is on tonight, so I'm gonna obviously watch it. Um, but yeah, like it's just overall, I'd say Raw is a really fucking good show right now. Uh, you got guys like Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, guys like those guys who are getting built up. I mean, Drew's a champion right now, so like there's a lot. They're doing good stuff for Bobby Lashley and MVP. I think that's really interesting. That's really cool. Um, like yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to like. There's a lot of stuff to like on Raw right now. Um, so yeah, like that's that's all like that's about all I got. Um, yeah, so this was the pilot episode for the Dudecast. Let me know if you want any guests. I'm thinking about having some guests on here if they are interested. I don't know if they will be. I am kind of hoping they will because that would be very very interesting. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed listening. And if you did, thank you for listening to this podcast. Uh, this is podcast number fucking third attempt at a podcast. So like, I'm reeling. All right. So yeah, here we go. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you guys later in the next video. Goodbye.